Welcome to Drop the Story. I'm here with Nadine Casenova. Nadine is a multimedia artist, activist, accomplished entrepreneur, and professional pollinator. She creates visual and sonic art as a living prayer with beauty and grace to inspire action towards a better world. Combining wisdom of the past and visions of a brighter future, her art is a medium for individual and collective transformation. She is grateful to live in service to humanity and our beautiful earth. That is an awesome bio.
Thank you. Took many years to boil it down to that simple, but
Yes, for sure.
yeah.
So how are you today?
I'm doing really good. I'm feeling very grateful and excited about life, excited about everything that's evolving right now.
It sounds like your time on Maui is, at least for now, coming to a close.
It is. We're headed back to LA tomorrow.
Beautiful. Well, I'm glad I got a chance to meet you and work with you a little bit. We just finished a music video shoot that you were a part of, and yeah, it was very inspiring to say the least to hear the power of your voice and yeah, really the power of your presence. I was struck, especially when you were singing on the rocks on the beach as the sun was setting, just the pure feminine power that was coming through you. So really appreciate you for showing up in that role of bringing that sound healing, that conscious music, that medicine for the people.
Thank you for seeing that. It's such a gift to be able to share that in this life and to even have it to share. It's been a blessing.
You're so multi-talented. There are the aspects of music, spirituality, film. What is it that you are really here to do?
I'm here to do a lot. I mean, simply put, I'm here to uplift humanity. I committed my life long ago to being of service. I think there's a lot of unnecessary suffering happening in the world. I've seen it firsthand. And for much of my life, I've felt a weight of that. And I also got to learn at a young age my privilege, being a white woman and having two amazing, loving parents. And so I've been really committed to utilizing that privilege, utilizing the fact that I've had an education, that I've had access to learning music and learning really anything I've wanted to. You know, that's part of the privilege, is like having access to all of those things to really develop as a human being. And ultimately, my purpose is to give back.
Well, you do so beautifully from what I can see. Building spaces for community to gather, creating experiences where you are facilitating deep internal reflection and healing. So you're familiar with kind of being in the spotlight, so to speak.
Yeah.
Has that always been something that you've kind of been called to, or has that been more of a journey for you to still feel comfortable with that?
I've had a lot of opportunities to be in the spotlight growing up, just going to performing arts schools and being a singer, being a dancer. And then, I've always kind of had a leader type of nature. And I really love sharing wisdom that's been gifted to me, throughout the years. And so, I mean, I definitely have moments of being nervous, or I have had in the past, not so much in more recent years. Just, I ran a community space for a few years and was often having the mic and saying the announcements and rallying the people and running the team. So I've just learned to get really comfortable in that. And it's been kind of a natural thing for me anyways in life, just the way that I've been brought up.
Speaking of that, tell us a little bit about where you were born, where you're from, what your ancestry is.
Thank you. I was born in San Diego. I had a very unique coming into this world. Both my parents are very forward-thinking people. They were both kind of the black sheep of their family. They both moved to Los Angeles to go to college and to basically be on a life of spiritual awakening and transformation. And so I was actually born in a garden with like about 30 hippies singing around, singing hallelujah. My first breath was fresh mint from the garden, fresh picked. So I definitely had a very unique coming into this world.
Wow.
And unique life, just being also with two loving parents that for my whole life have been very committed to growth and self-mastery.
That's incredible. I mean, what a gift to be raised in a conscious way. A lot of people have to basically unlearn so much of the patterning and conditioning that was passed to us. So it sounds like you were really on the right track from day one.
Yeah. I like to think I picked this life.
Yes. Well, we pick our lives, obviously, for the lessons we're here to learn.
Yeah, or the impact we're here to make. It was clear from a young age that I was here for a very specific purpose.
Since you are a musician, since you are an artist in so many different ways, was that part of your childhood?
Definitely. Yeah, my parents were the type to have a campfire and have the guitar and everybody singing, art and music and dance. It was just a part of our way of life.
Was there something you wanted to grow up and become?
Yeah, a musician.
Wow.
I did it.
You totally did it.
Success.
How has that dream changed over the years?
Honestly, it hasn't really changed much. You know, back then I knew I wanted to do music. I knew I wanted to be in the arts. I always had a draw to activism. You know, even as a child, I would see things that didn't seem right, and I would ask a lot of questions, and I'd want to do something about it. I found myself taking in friends from school that were being abused or didn't have money to eat lunch, and my parents were always very supportive of that. So yeah, I'm pretty much the same little girl I was back then. I'm just a lot wiser now, having had a lot of mentors and amazing teachers throughout my life, and also a lifetime of, you know, I used to be a workaholic. I'd like to say I'm recovering from that now, but you know, feeling that mission and the weight of the world has led me to be a very mission-driven, focused, hardworking person because of that drive to do something, seeing all the unnecessary suffering, as I was mentioning before, and wanting to be a part of the solution.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like you're a workaholic with a compassionate heart, though.
It's more been this drive of like, I gotta do it now. There's starving children in the world. It's actually been at the expense of my relationships with my parents and my love life, my friendships. You know, for so long, I was just go, 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 no matter what it took. And I would take on these crazy deadlines to accomplish these crazy things. And it was amazing when I would get to the end of it, but I'm like, but I would be totally exhausted, and I wasn't having the loving presence that I've had to, you know, be able to cultivate in finding that balance. Because I think actually a lot of people can probably relate to this and like feeling this weight of the world and needing to do something about it, and then just go, 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 go. But then our presence and how we're being in each moment actually suffers in that type of mentality. And then it was a dramatic shift, I realized, of like, wait a minute, it's not just about the big things that we're impacting or what we're building. It's about every moment that we're interacting with people. We can be spreading that love through even just a simple smile at somebody at the grocery store, or a compliment, or hugging somebody taking the time to hug somebody that we really care about and tell them how much we love them. That is actually making a really big impact as well.
Definitely. How you do anything is how you do everything.
Right.
Yeah, it really sounds like you were so driven by the need to solve problems that were so obvious to you, that maybe you didn't experience too much self-doubt or trepidation along your path. Am I wrong?
I mean, when I was building Awa, which is the community center model, that's part of my long-term life plan of creating community centers all over the world. But when I was building that space, I had many moments where I had been working days without sleeping, and the pressure of, the rent was crazy, the cost, when we were bootstrapping it, the circumstances changed a couple months into it, where we went from having full funding to not. And so then we had to bootstrap, and I had never run a company that size. It was a 14,000 square foot space. And I was interfacing with, high-end clients like Interscope and Nike, and I'm like trying to be professional, and there was times where I was just breaking down, honestly, where I was like, I wasn't eating right, I wasn't sleeping right. And I would get to this place where I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And I would have this very serious moment with Spirit where I'm like, Spirit, like, you led me to do this. You showed me all the signs, because I listen to signs. That's how I am guided by Spirit. So, like, you showed me all the signs, but here I am, like, withering away, bags underneath my eyes. And like, why? Is it okay? Can I move on now? Have I done enough? And then every single time I would have that real raw moment in tears. And like the next day or right then I would get a call or something would shift. And I would get this big relief, and it was like, okay, yeah, I'm supposed to keep going. It's okay. I can make it. It's all going to work out. So I've definitely had many moments of burnout, of like dramatic things happening where I'm like, can I move on now? Because the other aspect of the mission is the music and the art. And that's really that's like my most nourishing thing. I mean, yes, I'm meant to build these community blueprints and be a leader. And, at the time for Awa, I was the CEO. So I was like running all of it and building the team and interfacing with the clients and building the infrastructure. However, and as much as that's needed, my joy and my passion is really, and my gift is music and the arts.
Such a contrast.
It is. It's they're both very different, but they also go wonderfully hand in hand.
You just nailed my dilemma, because I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I believe in storytelling and filmmaking and the power of media and the beauty that can be transmitted through potent visuals and music and dialogue. Hence why we're doing this.
Yes.
And there's the whole side of things where you have to run a business. And you have to show up in this professional persona and wear that hat. And it's actually a deal breaker for a lot of people with good intentions, good hearts, good medicine for the people, but they aren't able to bring it through, right?
Right. I mean, because even in music, there's a whole aspect that's business.
Yeah.
And as I let go of Awa for now,
yeah,
and step into music fully, I've been doing that full time now. It's like I am getting to utilize that business experience and be able to merge that with the music. And I think that's so critical. I think a lot of artists don't really understand that it actually, in order to get their art out to the world, you have to wear that hat sometimes, or at least hire somebody to wear that hat for you. And I think that's why there's a lot of, unfortunately, starving artists that aren't able to really sustain themselves through it. And hopefully that'll change with how humanity's going and AI, and I don't know, it could get worse, but I hold space for the best outcome for artists.
Wow. We're in such a kind of new frontier, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, and to also speak to the idea of burnout as an artist. What do you think the root of that is? It's coming from something in us that wants to succeed, and at the same time is probably worried that, if we don't give 200%, that people won't respect us, or people won't,
or we won't
us.
accomplish a certain amount by a certain time. Yeah. I definitely have felt that so much. And, I look back on my life of accomplishments and I wonder if I would do it differently and, work slower, more balanced. And honestly, I don't know if I would, because I accomplished so much, in those years of working so hard, that now my resume is just like, it's like this thing, and my wisdom that I can take into, and now I can live balance in a much more harmonious way, because I feel like I accomplished the bulk of what I needed to do. And it was almost worth the burnout, I think. When I look back at it, I'm like, I wonder about that sometimes, because I'm like, Would it have been worth better quality living? And then there's another part that's like, well, I might have felt guilty actually if I didn't work that hard. And I actually have judgment on people who are lazy, to be honest. I've been like working on healing it and like transcending it, because it's like, hello, there's millions of starving children right now that are dying of starvation. And that's just one of the many, many problems that we face as humanity. And if we're not a part of the solution, honestly, I think people are part of the problem.
So that comes back to impact, right?
Do you see the theme here?
I definitely do. You're here to make a big impact, I can tell.
Yeah.
You are a leader, you're a torchbearer.
I think being an example of love and loving action impacts anybody that I'm coming in touch with, any projects that I'm a part of. But also, you know, finding the true yes, the true spirit-guided yes, and only working on things that are that.
That's tough, because a lot of times we can be offered things that aren't in full alignment.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can be tempting to kind of veer off the path of what it feels like our real calling is.
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely done it. I think most humans have, especially if you need the money or it seems cool and you want to at least try it. But yeah, I think, you know, embarking, I think ultimately it's spirit guided. But I believe that prayer is one of the most powerful tools that we have to find that clarity, you know, because time is so precious. And if we know we want to get over here, and we want to do it as quickly as possible, we have to really be considerate about what we're taking on, who we're spending time with, how we're spending our time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. What we consume.
Yes. Voting with our dollar.
Important.
Right? Like even right now, I'm wearing all eco fabrics. I know that the money that I spent on this went to supporting a family in a good way. I know that my skin is not absorbing any toxic chemicals, which most people are, believe it or not. I still do sometimes because, you know, eco, it can be expensive. You know, it's not as accessible.
That responsible choice takes a deeper level of commitment.
And a lot of people don't even have the option to make that choice, you know, and that's what we stand for. That's what we're working to change.
Right.
To bring in equality, to bring in access.
And awareness about the environment and the planet we live on, and how our simple choices can make such a big impact when combined over a lifetime.
Absolutely.
So your music, for example, I know is in deep reverence to nature and to the Amazon. And yeah, can you speak to what inspires you as a musician?
Yeah. Well, music is the universal language. It's something that can spread really far and wide as well. Music has the ability to touch so many, to teach lessons. I think music actually speaks a lot louder than words. And so I've found it to be the most powerful tool, really, to impact change at a molecular cell level. And I've seen it happen. I've felt it happen within my own being, where I listen to a song and I'm going through something challenging, and the song starts off like in the challenge that I'm in, and somehow it evolves into, you know, the evolved awareness, essentially, the conclusion or the nugget of wisdom within the music. And those are the moments where I'm like one song can just lift everything. And so, you know, seeing that at a young age, also feeling spirit move through music. I've had a lot of moments where I've been singing and all of a sudden I'm like singing the song, I don't even know what it is, and now my fingers are tingling and now my whole body is tingling and now my body's like shaking and I'm singing this song and it's coming out so beautifully. I'm like, is somebody recording this right now? And then I started realizing, wait, this is not me. This is spirit. I'm opening myself to be a channel for spirit to come through, and I'm singing these things, these songs that are healing me. And they're healing, other people are crying. You know, I've had this experience in sound baths a lot, where I do a sound bath and somebody's bawling, crying, or somebody's like shaking on the floor and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Hopefully it's good.
It is good.
Well, every time I found it is. It always ends up being good. When I get the reviews after, people are like, oh, I've had a headache for 3 days. It's gone. I got visited by my father who passed away a few months ago, and he came and we had our first conversation since he passed. Or I have this miraculous healing. My back's been killing me. Like somehow it's gone. I've felt the energy move it's like so much is possible through music because it's vibration. And when we're singing or listening to music that's in that higher vibration or the vibration of love, it actually transmutes lower vibrations, which fear and these negative emotions are a lower vibration. So music has the power. And I actually had an amazing mentor who actually passed away, rest in peace, Steve Robertson. But his whole mission was to teach this about why music is basically the answer to world peace, which is awesome. I mean, because that's like, it's so accessible. You can reach so many people with it, and it's so easy to just listen to music and be transformed. It's a lot easier than going to a yoga class or going to a week-long seminar on how to heal a trauma, just like turn on the music.
I had a teacher in elementary school who said, you can't be sad when you're singing. Like when you're really full volume singing, something shifts. So you can even be singing a sad song, but it moves energy.
It does.
Yeah.
I think it's the most powerful tool for moving energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen it over and over.
So I heard in that share that you had a mentor who passed and was a deep inspiration to you. Do they or any other people in your life symbolize a living legend or legend from the past that really influenced you?
Yes, definitely. I've had 2 legendary mentors in my life. The one that I was just sharing about is Steve Robertson, who committed his life to creating platform for spiritual music, believing that music is the universal language that will bring peace on earth. And so he's still very much so present in my life. We shared a mission together to do a world peace concert series, which is now actually something that I'm actively working on. And so he's deeply embedded into my path in the spirit realm now that he's passed. And the other person that has been a legend in my life is Dennis Banks. He was one of the original founders of the American Indian movement. And back when I was in college, I was actually, growing up, my parents were activists and healing and into that world. And so I always had a lot of questions about it. I always questioned the way that we operated as a society and felt that things were not fair and saw the injustices. And so when I was in college, I was studying that, and I became very enraged about the state of humanity. I was learning about environmental biology and sustainable living, and I was basically learning about how our earth was being ruined while simultaneously learning all the tools to protect our earth, which was, by the way, an extra credit class in college. I'm like, why isn't this taught in 2nd grade? I don't understand. It really made me mad. And I came home one day and I was just crying to my dad. I'm like, Dad, this is ridiculous. We are completely killing our one and only earth. And we have all the tools to not do that. How could this be? And I was so mad. And I was crying to him and I'm like, I want to be a part of the solution. I don't know what, but I want to do something. And in that moment, my friend called me. And he's like, hey, Nadine, you want to go on a 5-month journey and walk across the country with Native Americans on a movement called The Longest Walk to raise awareness for environmental issues and social separation? And I was just like, my jaw dropped. I'm like, because it was one of those signs, right? Like, what are the odds that I'm crying to my dad and asking, what can I do? And then my friend calls me and invites me to this thing. So I'm like, immediately I was like, yes. I went in, I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, will you support me in this? He's like, yes. So I dropped out of college, joined this walk. We started at Alcatraz in San Francisco. And the leader of the walk is Dennis Banks. And it was on that journey that I discovered my purpose. And part of that was Dennis took me under his wing because I deeply connected with him because I had been learning about the environment, and I was like, Dennis, I presented to him. I was like, look, I would really love to be of support on this journey and help teach the walkers and the different tribes that we come across during this journey about how to live in harmony with the earth. And he was like, yes. And all of a sudden I was with him every day, and we're like scouting the next locations, and I was helping him write his speeches, and it was totally surreal. I had no idea at the time that Dennis Banks is actually one of the greatest Native American leaders of all time. And here he was, just like he was like an uncle in a way, in a lot of ways. And it was because of him actually that I discovered my purpose. And so there was this really pivotal moment on the walk where, so for months we had been talking about teepee ceremonies, like when's there going to be a teepee ceremony? We're walking through all these reservations, we didn't see any yet. And one of these days we walked like 20 miles out into the middle of the desert, nowhere. There's gonna be this big powwow with tribes from all over, and there it was. The teepee was set up, and there was talk around all the walkers. There were about 100 of us that walked, and there was who's gonna be in the teepee meeting, because only about 20 people can fit inside of a teepee. And we quickly found out that none of the white people could be in the teepee meeting. So I went to Dennis and I was like, Dennis, I gotta be in that teepee meeting. I don't know why, but I need to be in there. And he's like, let me see what I can do. So I don't know, a little bit after that, someone came and they're like, go meet Dennis at the front of the teepee. He wants to talk to you. I'm like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Yes, I'm in, I'll go over now. So I met him, and he said, listen, it's not up to me. The chief of chiefs is inside of the teepee, and you will go talk with him, and then he'll decide if you can sit in the meeting. I'm like, okay, yes. So I'm like doing the prayers around the fire. I'm crawling into the teepee in the way that they, the traditional way. And the chief was on the far end of the teepee, right in front of the fire. And I just came and sat next to him. And I don't know how long I was there, but he shared the native way. And I was just pouring tears. For me, it was honestly like finding God for the first time in my life.
What an honor.
It was the greatest honor of my life.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And something in you knew that you had to be there.
I knew it. I knew it. Just even that moment of receiving the wisdom from this chief of chiefs, and the way that he said it was so profound, and it hit me like lightning, like hearing that way of life, like hearing the native way of walking each step in gratitude and honoring all life as sacred, and that we're all connected, and living harmoniously with the earth, giving more than we take. It's so simple, yet it's been lost. And it's even been lost a lot even in Native American cultures. Even a lot of the younger generations have lost touch with that wisdom, which is so beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing. It's so simple, but it's been lost. And so anyways, like that moment with him absorbing all that, and I was just like, oh my God, this is it. This is the way. And I ran into the desert, and I dropped to the earth, and I put my hands in the earth, and I was like, all right, Spirit, I now know the way. I know I need to bring this awareness to the world, and just give my life to you. Tell me what to do. I commit myself for the rest of my life. And I came back, and I was allowed to be in the teepee meeting. And it was during that teepee meeting of looking around at all the elders. I was the only white person. And I was looking around at all the elders, and I was looking at the wrinkles in their face and the pain and the trauma that they endured. And I was like, and that's when it was shown to me. I'm like, oh, well, if we want to heal the planet, we have to heal what's within. To heal the trauma that's in so many humans. It's in all humans, really. We have to make these tools accessible. Hence, community centers worldwide, hence healing through music. And so I give a lot of that credit to Dennis Banks, because he made that possible. And that was the day that I really committed myself over to spirit. And I was shown the path forward, my purpose, very clearly.
What a contrast.
Ever since.
What a contrast to be crying with your father over the destruction of the earth, and dropping that story of, I don't know what to do. How can I even do anything? To I'm on this mission and showing up in all the ways that you do now.
Yeah.
That's potent.
Well, I was given a roadmap.
Yeah.
Spirit showed me, Dennis Banks showed me. He said, Nadine, you're going to go into Hollywood. You're going to bring this wisdom with you. You're going to go into the places that my people may never be able to go in a lot of ways because of the color of your skin, because of the way you look. You have a great privilege and you're going to utilize it to do good. And I've been doing that ever since. I moved to Hollywood right after that journey. I went in, I met a guy who managed me, who now we're doing all these amazing projects. In fact, it all comes full circle. So that mission I've actually actualized in a lot of ways with creating Awa and having that community space for several years, with all the projects and entertainment that I've done. In fact, the person that ended up next being my mentor, I'm still working with to this day. I met him right after The Longest Walk. And right now we're actually sending Dennis Banks' story to the moon through NASA's upcoming mission later this year.
What?
And like it's being planted on the moon as part of a database of human art and culture to preserve basically the art and culture of the earth. In case anything happens to our earth, we'll have it backed up on the moon. The aliens will know about Dennis Banks and the native way.
Amazing.
And that was part of the mission, is like give platform to the native way, the indigenous message of the values and the way of life that is harmoniously living with each other and our planet.
Building those bridges.
That's right.
Yeah. And working through the traumas so that we can drop the barriers between different cultures and between you and me.
Exactly. Recognize that we're all one.
Yes.
We all want the same thing.
Thank you so much for the work you're doing.
Pleasure. Super grateful.
It is a pleasure to be of service, isn't it?
It is a pleasure. It really is. Even all the hard work that I've done, it's so rewarding. It's rewarding, and being committed to service also is so rewarding. And I've heard this story from a lot of others that have committed their life to service, that when we commit ourselves in that way, Spirit gives us everything we need to accomplish that mission. Even in the moments we're like, oh my God, I'm almost out of money, or oh my God, what am I going to do in this situation? It's like, just connect with Spirit and the answer arrives, and we're always supported ultimately. And so knowing that, it's a blessed journey. I wouldn't have it any other way.
That feels like a perfect note to wrap up on.
Perfect.
If there's anything you would leave the listeners with as a piece of wisdom of how they can drop their story of self-doubt and become the legend they're meant to be, what would it be?
I love that. Well, part of my mission is to share the wisdom of the water. This is also something that was given to me through the native way. The wisdom of the water. Dr. Emoto did studies on water and proved that our words have an impact of the molecular structure on water, which means that we can have an impact on our own bodies and the world around us through our words, through our thoughts. And so every moment is a new moment to choose love, to choose joy, to change our state of mind and being, which then impacts everything, the world around us, how the world receives us and how the world reacts to us. So, a lot of these stories are old programming that's wired in our brain. And, even Dr. Joe Dispenza is now really sharing this information, which is just amazing, because he's now proving it in studies and all kinds of stuff that we can very quickly rewire our brain. And so that's wisdom that I like to share wherever I go, is just how powerful people are when they realize that we can actually change our whole life. We can change the health of our body. We can have miraculous healing just by changing our thinking or our words. We can just catch it in a moment. Oh, I can't do it. No. I can. I can do anything. Oh no, this is going to be too hard. Cut that out. This is going to be easy. Even if we don't believe it at first, it sounds ridiculous. Like, what do you mean? I know this is going to be hard. I've done it 100 times. It's always hard. No, just try changing the words, try changing the thoughts, and then see what happens. It's actually miraculous. I've seen so many miraculous things happen just by starting to become aware of our words and our thoughts and shifting those, which can happen in an instant. We can choose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We are the director and main character of our own movies.
That's right.
And we're writing the script.
Yeah. Make it a good one.
Beautiful. Make it the most beautiful one you can imagine.
Exactly. Why not? Utilize
Gosh.
this amazing human experience.
Solve that
Beautiful
world
Earth.
hunger. Heal your inner wounds.
Yeah.
Make an impact.
Exactly. It feels so good. It's so
Yes.
fulfilling to give back. I think a lot of people think like they're so, stuck trying to make their own life good. They don't think about service. They don't think outside of their own selves. But what people don't realize is that giving back is one of the most fulfilling things we can do. Seeing that person's life change or their day uplifted or something change for them is like, it's like a breath of life. It fuels you for the next thing. And it creates a ripple of good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so spread the love.
All right. So grateful for you for being on the show.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.